welcome back everyone. So today I'm going to cover the database part that I have developed till now for these sellers, products and images and their corresponding items and locations. So this is the page where I am listing all the blogs that I have written. So out of this I'm going to cover the design a robust schema for e-commerce, this blog today. Okay, so here I have written everything and also provided the UML diagram and the relationship between each tables, and also I have also provided the explanation like how product and items and SKU are linked and all those details. So this is the, you can refer here whatever whatever content I'm going to cover, everything is written here. So let's jump directly into the database. So let me close everything. Okay, so these are the tables. Let me zoom in. Yes, so this is the database that is being used for all of these projects. So there are two schemas, one is for edu seller and one is for the product journey. So right now all the tables that I'm using is currently in edu sellers, and I will move all the tables. Even I've already moved some of the tables. So if you can see, items and images and SKU tables are here, but I'm not going to cover edu product schema in this video, and I'm only going to cover this edu seller part. So let's start with the first thing. So there are two things that I'm going to explain you in this video. The first is the product and item things and relationship between all the foreign keys and everything. And then I'm going to explain you the vendor part. Okay, so each I'm going to open each table and then I'm going to show you the ER diagram also. Okay, so the first table is to store the vendor details. So if you see, these are the vendor details. Okay, the basic vendors, for example, soulmates dealer, flying shoes store. So these are the main sellers of my Educommerce. These all are fake data. These are not real data. These are just for educational purpose. And then for each of these sellers, you definitely have the stores. For example, if I am in Mumbai, or if I'm in Delhi NCR, even in Delhi NCR, I can have multiple, you can say, stores at a different places. Even in the same cities, I can have multiple stores. Okay, so for that, how to map that? It is a vendor details table. So if I go into vendor details table, you can see, let me show you the detail part. So in vendor detail, you can see I have pin code ID. So pin code is being used to map the exact city name with the pin code of that particular store. For the assumption of these thing of all this e-commerce project, I have imagined in a one city there is only one store. Even we can scale, we can change this requirement, but for this scope we are keeping this in this as assumption, like for a given seller store in a same city or in a same pin code there is only one store. Okay, let's move ahead. So if you see, okay, let me show vendor master again. So it's a business name. Business name is a main name of a seller. For example, if I say Tata brand, you can say, or Tata Steels, you can say, or anything, any big name you can take here, which is a business name of that entity. And then inside a Tata business, maybe in different pin code, name is same, but they may have a different business name that they want to call themselves. It is more or less like calling them a franchisee, but you can imagine they can name it. So it's an option. Maybe they can use the same name or maybe they can use a different name. So that's why in both the table I have an option to add a business name. Okay, so here the business name would be same, but the seller name is different. Okay, sorry for the explanation. Business name would be the same, but seller name would be the different. They are going to work under the same entity. Sorry for that. So this vendor id is referring to this. For example, let me take 52680. So vendor master is this, and in detail I will mention where vendor id is equals to 52680. So here I can see there are two stores for this seller. Okay, the seller name is Adi Joshi and Vidya Khalsa. They have their corresponding GST, PAN, phone numbers, email IDs, address. So these are the basic details that we are having for this particular sellers. Now from here I want to take you to the pin code part. Now how exactly pin code is mapped. So the main table is country master. Definitely this is for India, but I've started it in this way. Maybe in tomorrow, if I want to scale it for other countries, then we must have an option for that thing. This state master, this country master is linked to the state master, because in one country there can be multiple states. So if I go to state master, you can see inside India we have all these states, and then we have the codes like for Andhra Pradesh AP, for Assam AS, for Bihar BR, and so thing and everything. And then from this state I'm going to deep dive into the city. Then city, we have the state ID as a foreign key, and this state is being mapped to the Kanpur, Jaipur, Bhopal, Varanasi, all the cities of that particular state. And then I have a pin code master table to map the pin code of that particular city. So for example, I have mapped here as a city ID. Now for example, let's say this particular seller detail has item 1 and 12. Now if I want to see what are the city names for this, so I can just write select star from pin code master, okay, where id in 1 comma 12. No database selected. Okay, so we have this city ID. Let's see what are these cities. I can even join them also, but let's not go into that complexity, and I will write a single query. From here I will go into city master and join 1 comma 11, because these are the city IDs. Cities are Kanpur and Jaipur. So now I can say this vendor is from the Kanpur and Jaipur. Okay, now this is, till now we have covered vendor, vendor detail, and the pin code. Now let's come to product images and their locations. So the basic unit is a SKU master. This is a SKU table, stock keeping unit. If you want to know, the full form is stock keeping unit. Multiple people say it a different way, but stock keeping unit or a single keeping unit or whatever. So let me give you one example. For example, you are going to buy a one shirt, okay, any shirt. That shirt can have a multiple colors. Let me open a notepad and then I will explain you. For example, let's say you are going to purchase a shirt. Okay, let's not take example of shirt, let's take example of phonics, for example. Then we have to define a product specification. Okay, so what is product specification? I will tell you. This is a product for me. Okay, now product specification tell on what basis I want to break this product. For example, some product specifications can be color, size, length, okay, then it may be width, okay, then product specification can be liters, because for different types of product we have different type of specifications, and so on. I guess you get the gist. For example, in this, even for the phones we have memory, okay, and so on. For example, I take color as specification. So for example, one blue iPhone, okay, blue iPhone, for example 128 GB, okay, memory I can also take. Red iPhone, for example, let's, if I go back into the example that I have mentioned here. So if you, even if you see here, the colors I have mentioned, blue, black, and silver. Let's take that as an example. Blue, then maybe black or red, whatever, and then maybe 128 GB or 256 GB, okay, and then for gray and so on. Maybe some of them doesn't exist or whatever. So just for the understanding. So these are individual items, okay. these are items in our Educommerce world. Now let's take the quantity. For example, I have 100 quantities for these. Okay, so for these 100 quantities, if I want to uniquely identify any specific product or any specific item, then there is no way. There comes the SKU. Okay, so for example, if I mention blue iPhone 1, blue iPhone 2, and so on. So these are individual SKUs. Okay, so again, I want to show you this UML diagram here. Let's use this diagram only. Open image in new tab. Okay, so here if you see, SKU is linked with the item master as one-to-one relation. Item is related with product master is this. So if you see, one product can have one to many relationship. Okay, so even in our I can show you in the table also. If I open any product, let me close everything, close all. Okay, for example, if I open any product master, so let's take any example, this 69891. Now I'll deep down into item, select star from edu sellers dot item master. Okay, let's first, before going to item master, let's see what exactly we are maintaining on the product level. We are maintaining one description of the product, we are mentioning the name of a product. So brand is one. Right now I don't have anything related to brand, but yes, I will improve it. For now, just we can ignore this. Yes, so at broader level, we have a description and a name and a code. This code is for internal purpose. This is not something that the user needs to know. Okay, this is only for our understanding. Okay, so even, and for the item master, I'm maintaining the again code description. This is an item specific, then the name. Okay, then we are maintaining the SKU ID, then we are maintaining the MRP, then we are maintaining a stock, maintaining sale price, shipping price, and so on. So these are zero for now. But yes, even if, but if I just for sake of understanding, if I go to item master of this table, okay, the tables are same, but I have added some random data here, right? So right now these are zero in this schema, edu seller schema. Okay, so let's open any one product. For example, where product ID is equals to 69891. Now what I get? I get all these things. Okay, now I get all these things. Edu products, edu sellers. Okay, I get everything whatever we are required. Okay, these are items, and even if you see in item, we have a SKU relation, SKU ID, as I mentioned, to have a relationship between select star from edu sellers dot SKU master. It's a very simple table, only SKU details, and these SKUs are mapped with item as a one-to-one relationship. Okay, some more tables just for understanding. These are item images. So in one item we can have multiple images. For example, this item ID, this is the name of the JPG or PNG, whatever, and then this is a path. So I will create one separate video how item images are mapped, what are the directory structure, and how we am going to render it to the UI. Okay, so these are for the item images. Similarly, we have product images. So here we don't have anything like CD and URL, because I have to do that work. I have not covered that part. So yes, definitely there is one CD and URL also, and the same path will be there for product also. Okay, then what is left? Okay, then one important table is vendor items location. This is where vendors and items and their location is going to be mapped. For example, the vendor detail ID is 1001. So let's see what this vendor detail 1001 is. Select star from edu sellers dot vendor details where id is equals to 1001 edu sellers. it's Adi Joshi. Okay, and if I go to location, then it has item ID, these item IDs. So let's now start joining the tables. Okay, so for example, from here I'm going to join, let's call this as a VD. I will join item master, and then I will say on VD dot item ID, VD dot item ID is equals to on this is equals to, let's call item master as IM, on this IM dot ID. No database selected. Let me select first here. Use edu column ID in with, okay, so is mbgs, this id is vd, vendor detail id. Vd dot item id is on clause. Select star from this, join this. I am what's the problem? Unknown column VD dot item ID on clause. VD is vendor details. Vendor details. We have, okay, there is no vendor. Okay, the table is different. It's vendor item location, vendor items location. Let's call it VD for now. Nothing. Okay, vendor item ID is being mapped with this vendor item location. Let's take from vendor item locations. Just give me a minute. Vendor item location. Okay, so in vendor item location I have item underscore ID is this, and now I'm trying to take a join of vendor item location VD, join item master on VD dot item ID. So this is the item ID, and where VD dot ID is, okay, if I remove this where clause, then we have something where, okay, it's not ID, it's vendor details ID. It's vendor details ID is equals to 1001. So these are the items, okay, for this vendor. Now I can fetch the item name. For example, if I want to fetch the item name, then I can say im.name. These are the name. If I want to pray im.id, im.description, and so on. Okay, so these I can fetch. Now these are the items. Now these are the vendors. Now I also want to fetch the location also. Okay, so for example, for now let's take star and print everything that is possible. Okay, so now if you see, I have if for vendor item location, I have to map the item ID, vendor item location. So this is the vendor detail ID, and the vendor detail ID has the details of the pin code. So for example, if I have to print the location also, so I can join the pin code and everything, but for now, for the sake, let's not print everything, let's just print the pin code ID. So for example, I can print VDL dot, let me do control this, okay, along with description I want to print VDL dot pin code. VDL vendor details, it has pin code ID, VDL dot pin code ID. There is no pin code ID in VD. Pin code underscore ID, pin code. VD is vendor item location, VD dot pin code underscore ID, VD dot vendor item location. No, vendor item location, there is, it's in vendor details, so we have to join vendor details also. So now let's join vendor details also. Join vendor details. Let's call it as a vendor for now, or let's call it VD. Let's call this as VDL. Okay, this is VDL, this is VDL. Let's call this VD on VD vendor detail ID and vendor detail ID dot vendor detail ID, vendor detail ID. And now from here I can do VD dot VD is vendor pin code master. So it says VD dot pin code master in field list. VD is a vendor details. VD dot pin code master, pin code ID. Okay, so now we can see the pin code IDs here. Now if I want to go into the detail of pin code, then definitely we can join it with a city also. Let's do that also. Join city master. Let's call it as a CM city master on CM dot ID is equals to, or even let's put this VDL, which is vendor details. It's a vendor details dot pin code ID, pin code underscore ID. City is, we cannot map directly city. First of all, we have to take the pin code master, pin code master. And I guess you guys are getting what I am trying to write. And here I will write this is equals to pm dot id. Okay, now pin code. Now we can select the pin code. Now we have a, we have taken the pin code. Let's join with city master CM on pm dot city id is equals to city master dot id. Okay, pin code doesn't, okay, spelling mistake is city. Now I can select the city also. So in the selection term, instead of pin code id, let's set cm dot maybe name. I don't remember the field. Yes, Kanpur. So this is whole detail. This is the name of, even we can go into detail of the product in the images. So these are the different tables that I am using. One table is config master, which I have used for the configuration. For example, code, for example, I have item based URL. I have just created it for any configurations that we want to keep with our system. So yes, these are all the database related details. If you have any questions, you can go through this diagram. You can also read this, and then we can see in the next video. Thank you.